My experience with getting signed was very weird because I didn't have a manager, so I was doing all the meetings by myself. There was a lot of interest from I don't know, everyone's quoting me saying 14 different labels, but only one actually offered a deal. And so a lot of them are quite fickle. They're jumping onto a wagon of something's going to be hot, something's going to be big. We want to even look like we're on it, even if we don't even plan on signing it. And I met a lot of different people, had a lot of different experiences that I learned so much from. I'm so glad I didn't have a manager because I wouldn't have learned so much. Yeah, depends what kind of person you are, because some artists, if you're quite airy-fairy and you don't like the business side of it, you might need a manager to help you. But I love all the business side, so I just did it myself because I wanted to.
Always asking what is up with me. Could never tell you what happened the day I turned 17. The rise of a king and the fall of a queen. Oh, 17.
If a promoter wants to book you for a show, they'll want 4 songs, some kind of evidence that you have a small fan base, and especially lower down the circuit, they will be really kind of not very nice to you if you don't bring people in. So just make sure you've got 15 friends who can come, because it looks really embarrassing if you don't, and you won't get booked again. But that's just the way of the lower down venues. You have to go through it.
I first heard of Marina in January of 2008. I was working as a scout for a music lawyer at the time. I also wrote a music blog at the time and featured a track, Obsessions, which is now her kind of flagship anthem. 3 months later, I booked her to play a show opening for an artist from Australia called Gortia. And that gig was where Warner's first saw her and the lawyer who went on to represent her. And Warner's ended up signing her in October of 2008. Marina's really wonderful in that she's very open with her fan base, and she's a very interactive artist. She actively seeks their opinion on her tracks, and she takes it into account. And I think this is really a rewarding experience for the fans, as they feel like they're actually making a difference to the music. And the more that you can get the fans involved, I think the better off you're going to be in the long run. Writing your own blog or having some kind of public forum within which you can interact with your fan is, I think, really important for an artist, as fans really value accessibility, and if they feel like they're playing a part in the process, it can pay dividends in the long run. The more people feel like they can get to know you, the better.
Oh, 17. 17.
I think the old demos were produced by a guy who I just paid 500 quid to, said, can you produce 3 songs? I found him on kind of the equivalent to Craigslist. It was like Gumtree or something. And, he had his own vision for what I should sound like, and it was some kind of pop emo sound, so that was obviously not very me. Now that I found a producer that I really like working with, it's just way easier and way more satisfying that you can kind of have the freedom to say what you want and have someone to help you there to make you realise that sound or that vision that you have for a song.
The way that a producer works with an artist, I think it differs from artist, from project to project. With Marina's a very strong character. She knows what she wants. She turns up and generally plays her songs to me on a piano. She plays demos, and then we kind of talk about where it could possibly go from there, and then we flesh out the music. And Marina's she's very obsessive. She goes into every little bit of detail. Some singers come, they do their bit and go, but Marina likes to be there for every detail.
Because I'm not a musician, he will do a lot of the instrumental. I'll just play piano. I'll have my own ideas about what kind of sounds I want. For example, with Robot, I wanted it really mechanical and steely silver.
Guess what? I am not a robot. Guess what? I am not a robot. Guess what? I'm not a robot.
Publishing deal is basically just as important as your record deal, because publishers basically collect all the money that you get from radio play. So each time you're played on Radio 1, you receive a certain amount of money. You get money for syncs, which are basically when someone puts your music in an advert. So for example, if you're in a Calvin Klein advert, you're going to get a lot of money, and your publisher deals with all of that. So you can get a lot of opportunities from a publisher.
I have first heard about Marina from a writer-producer I have signed to me called Pascal Gabriel. And he started writing some songs with her. And I heard, I think the first song I heard from her was the demo of a song called Champagne. And I just thought it was, it just sounded really fresh. It just sounded like the perfect pop song to me, and that got me interested. And obviously, I went onto her MySpace, heard the other songs, and then I went and saw a show, and I just loved her. I just loved her approach.
Like you've got an OCD, we've got obsessions. I wanna erase every nasty thought that bugs me every day of every week. We've got obsessions. You never told me what it was that made you strong, what it was.
I mean, the more you practice, the better you'll get. And even songwriters today who are massive, they even tell you that if they haven't written for a year, they go back to it and they're a bit dodgy. So you have to keep on your toes and you have to keep it up even if you don't feel like writing. So it's good to do at least a song a week, for example, just to keep your mind going. I had never really been a musician and I hadn't been a singer. I was really scared of singing in public, but I knew that I wanted to do this since I was about 14. I just worked at it for 4 years and I was really bad in the beginning, but I wanted to do it so badly that I just continued, and eventually after about 2 years my voice started to get better and finding my own sound and stuff like that. I never tried to sound like anyone or tried to copy a genre. So if you're as honest as you can with yourself and doing something that you think sounds good and that you love and that you really feel inside, I don't think you can go wrong.